Greetings, friends. It's Pat from Dancing Moon Travel with another episode of Let's Talk Travel. And if you're joining us for the first time, or maybe you're catching this as an instant replay, whatever the situation, we're very glad that you've taken a little bit of time out of your schedule to join us this evening. And I am very excited to welcome our special guest this evening, Tracy Zadra. Tracy is joining us from the Alaska Railroad. And folks, I just want you to stay tuned for this one because I can tell you from personal experience that a journey aboard one of their tours is absolutely an incredible experience. And you do want to hear what Tracy has to share with us this evening. Could we just start by I always like to start with just giving people a little glimpse of your background and how you got into the travel industry and made your way to the Alaska Railroad. Would you share with us?
I can, and thank you so much, Pat, for the invitation to be here. And I should say, happy 2022. So far, it's been a great year. But again, thanks a lot for inviting me to be here today on behalf of the Alaska Railroad. My name is Tracy Zadra, and I am one of the travel trade liaisons for the Alaska Railroad in Anchorage, Alaska. I've been with the railroad for about 5 years, but I'm not a stranger to the tourism industry. I've been involved in tourism since the age of 19, and I've worn lots of different hats from driving motor coaches to working at very, very remote wilderness lodges to becoming a tour director in the Canadian Rockies and Alaska. So I have just a passionate love of Alaska and sharing my home with strangers here. And it's just a beautiful place to live and grow up.
Oh, I so love Alaska, Tracy. It's one of my all-time favorite destinations, and folks, that is just the truth. If I tell you about my top favorite trips ever taken, Alaska is always going to be included on that list. I love that destination. And what about the Alaska Railroad? I know that there's got to be a bit of a story behind how that came to be.
There is always a story behind every beautiful railroad in the world, really. So we are actually going to be celebrating our 100 years in operation as a year-round railroad system in Alaska, and we are actually the only railroad system in the entire state of Alaska operating year-round. So it's pretty special, pretty unique. But we've been a part of this state for so many years, not only with just a residential transportation, but it quickly grew into something incredible with passenger service. In 1923, President Harding came up to Alaska and he drove that last golden spike in Nenana, just signifying the completion of the Alaska Railroad. And the main reason the railroad was built is just to get those resources from the northern part of our state and the interior down hitting all the different rail belt communities along the way, and of course to get that product to market. But it just quickly turned into something truly incredible with our Alaska Railroad. It's not only passenger service, but it's also freight, just delivering products up and down the rail belt, as well as real estate. So we're a big part of the history here in Alaska, and just very proud to work for this beautiful corporation.
And you guys really are kind of the hub of getting people around. A lot of times, I mean, that's the railroad or float plane are probably the easiest ways to travel much of the year in Alaska.
It's interesting because a lot of people don't realize Alaska, it is a very, very big state, but it's very remote. We literally only have about 7 highway systems in our state, and some of those aren't even paved. So the railroad is a great transportation in getting people to civilization, if you will, those living off the beaten path, off the grid, we like to say, in remote areas of the state. But it's a connecting link to so many of our beautiful communities, and just sharing in all that beautiful scenery along the way. But yeah, it is a main transportation form in our state.
Now you guys cover an amazing, you talk about Alaska is a big state. You guys cover an amazing amount of territory up there. Could you give us a little bit of an overview of what our clients are seeing here?
Right. So the orange that you're seeing is the shape of our state, and where you see that little bit of a red dotted snake leading up from South Central up into the interior there, that's where our rail belt is located. So we have over 500 miles of really incredible scenic track beds starting in the port of Seward, which is one of our main cruise ship ports, going up into Whittier, which is also a cruise ship port, up into Anchorage, our largest city, Talkeetna, and of course, we pass through Denali National Park, and our northernmost terminus being Fairbanks. So we're connecting that south central portion of our state well up into the interior with all of those destination stops along the way. And I should mention that the majority of our population actually live along the rail belt. So it is very, very vital, important to so many different communities along the way.
I can just imagine that it is, and as well as just a huge element of the tourism industry up there. Um, Now, what is you offer a choice of service to people like my clients who would be traveling there. They have a choice of what kind of service that you offer. What are the categories and what's the difference between those?
Yes, that's a great question. So, everybody that comes up to Alaska is very different in their travel style and budgetary concerns. So, we offer two different types of service levels while on board our rail cars. So, our first level is our adventure class service, and those are our single level rail cars, big windows, reclining seats. Uh, you can get up from your seat, walk about all the different rail cars. And then there is our Gold Star service, and those are our double decker dome, all inclusive. There's a great shot right there. So you sit high above tree level right there, dome windows, not a bad view from any seat up there. And it's an inclusive service. So it involves the dining cars down below. Another great picture there of the of seating assignments. So it's a great way to travel. We have a second level viewing platform on our Gold Star cars. This here is a great picture of the dining car that we offer breakfast, lunch, or dinner, depending on any segment of our train service. So it's just a great way to travel and it's inclusive. So not everybody who is on that train consist can enter into these Gold Star cars. They're very, very private, but you as a Gold Star passenger can walk freely about the entire rail consist. And that's one thing I love about taking the train and traveling aboard a train is that you don't have to sit idle at your seat. You can actually get up, move freely about the different cabins, go to the dining car, grab a beer, an Alaskan beer, and just enjoy the scenery.
I do seem to recall that there is a bar service on board.
Mhm. Of course, of course. So in the Gold Star cars, it's all included. So if you're traveling in adventure class cars, we have these incredible dining cars that when I'm traveling on the train with my boys, we go down there, we grab a drink, we play some cards, we grab a snack. So it's a great place to get those adult beverages as well as coffee, tea, soda, whatever you're interested in. And you can eat it right there in the dining car, or the beauty of the train as well is that you can take it back to your seat and enjoy it there in the comfort of your own seat.
Yeah. I remember so well the dining experience when we were on board, and uh, just it was so lovely. And folks, there's something on the menu there, reindeer sausage, and, and you be a little adventurous. It's really good. It really is, and it's not Rudolph.
No, it is not. It's a unique flavor, unique taste, and that's the beauty of traveling is trying all different foods, no matter what part of the world you're visiting. And Alaska has some of the best food, the best seafood here, and
Yes,
everything is
indeed.
grown big because of our land of the midnight sun. So we've got those big cabbages, juicy carrots. It's all amazing food up here. So if you're coming to Alaska, you have to indulge in some of our unique treats.
I was amazed when I was up there that the I mean, pots of flowers that I mean, these flower pots are just they're enormous.
Yes.
And bloom. I think it must be that midnight sun, the fact that you have so much daylight. I mean, the blooms and they're everywhere. It was that I think that's one of the things that surprised me so much when I first got to Anchorage and was like, wow, just look at all of these flowers. I was not expecting that.
No, we get a bad rap as being a very, very cold state. Just all it's just snow, it's just cold, but it's all just a bad reputation out there of that. But we are so green, we're bright, we're colorful. No matter what the season, our flowers just those are our fireweed. Those are a beautiful flower that just bursts. You know, anytime there's a fire, those are the first blossoms to come up, but they are definitely an icon along our track bed.
That is fabulous. Now, in addition to and I don't want to call it transportation because a journey on the railroad is so much more than just merely transportation. It's an experience. It's one of those things that if you do it just one time, it's unforgettable. You're not going to forget about your trip on the Alaska Railroad. Um, but in addition to just that transportation piece, you guys offer some amazing tour packages as well, and I'd love to explore a couple of those with our listeners and for people. Let's start off with like a 4 or 5 night itineraries for those who might have some time constraints. Uh, Tracy, I loved this Taste of Alaska itinerary.
Yes, that is a wonderful and it's a popular one as well. So, you know, summer is our most popular time of year. So, we have created some incredible travel packages, and all of these can be viewed on our website at alaskarailroad.com. But this one is definitely hands down a popular one. It's only 5 days. You arrive into Anchorage. The following day, you take a ride on our Denali Star train, our flagship train to Talkeetna. Talkeetna is a beautiful community. You take a flight scene adventure there above Denali and the Alaska Range. You can even land on the mountainside if you'd like, but Talkeetna is only 60 miles from the base of the entire Alaska Range. So just beautiful scenery the minute you take off from the runway. You stay the night in Talkeetna, and then we're going to go proceed onto a really fun a Devil's Gorge. It's a canyon jet boat adventure, and then we'll continue on and just through beautiful scenery and come back to Anchorage. And then on day 4, we'll take that Coastal Classic train, my favorite train, down to Seward, just very scenic. And then we'll embark on a Kenai Fjords National Park um, fun marine tour where you get to see whales and marine life just breaching the waters. And of course, the big draw to Seward and Whittier actually is the glaciers. Everyone loves glaciers, and the best way to see glaciers in Alaska is getting on those smaller vessels, exactly like this one here. So you get so up close and personal. You can actually feel the coolness of the icebergs. You see that calving, and of course, you get to see the whales and the marine life just breaching those waters at sea level. So it's a beautiful way to experience Alaska, and of course glaciers. So Taste of Alaska is one of our most popular ones, and it's only 5 days. So you could actually do a cruise, pre-cruise, post-cruise, do this tour. So it's just a sampling of the beauty of Alaska along the rail belt.
I love that, and one of the places that I didn't go was the Kenai Peninsula, so that's one of the, places that's still on my bucket list, just an iconic and beautiful area of Alaska, and I still want to get that one checked off the list, so one of these days, I'm going to get
You'll
up
have
there.
to come back.
I'm gonna have to go back. Uh,
Yes, you will.
Yeah, I mean, what can you say? It's just, it gets, you know, but in Denali, I've seen that part. The
Mhm.
wildlife.
The wildlife is truly unique to Alaska, and you never know what you're going to see. And our engineers are constantly looking ahead. Not only are they piloting the, the engines and the rail cars themselves, but they're also looking in ahead. And they'll radio back to our team on board and let us know if there's any wildlife coming up ahead. So we often see moose, we see grizzlies, we've seen wolves, bears, just a variety. Of course, eagles galore along Turnagain Arm. We oftentimes see some marine life too as we're traveling along Turnagain Arm. We see beluga
The
whales,
beluga
orca
whales.
whales. Oh, yes. So you never know what you're going to see, but everybody on board is looking out for wildlife. Not only is the staff looking, but also everybody on board. So there's this certain amount of energy that takes place when you're traveling on the train, where everyone gets so excited when an animal presents itself. So
Yeah,
it's not all the time or constantly, and we can't guarantee. But
right.
when we do, I tell you what, it's an excitement for sure.
I always want to tell people, folks, it is the real wilderness. It's not Disneyland. They don't make them
No,
pop up. It
we
it
don't
it,
queue them to come
it is
out.
it is what it is. But we saw so much wildlife. I think I
Yes.
checked off everything, and I had almost given up on seeing the grizzly bear when our motor coaches we came back to Anchorage when it's when somebody said, "There's the bears." And sure enough, it was the grizzly just tearing apart a fallen tree, to getting ready for their fall slumber.
And
I like
you
go
never
ahead.
know. Yeah, yeah, and you never know what you're going to see. I was just going to mention there was a posting in one of our local newspapers of 14 moose walking along the Alaska Railroad track bed from Fairbanks heading south, and the train right behind it. So I'll try and get a picture of that to you. So
Oh,
the people on board the train were super excited, and it was just something unique and out of the blue. And
it's just
that's
like
one.
a parade of moose.
Yes, yes, and who knew they traveled in with that many?
You just
14 moose, yeah, so you never
just
know.
amazing,
It
amazing.
is.
I Here's another one that I
Oh,
picked out
yes.
that I thought the Alaska National Parks. This is people if you've got a week, 7 nights, and you're not a cruise person, what I mean, there is nothing more exciting and memorable and romantic and the whole thing to do a rail trip in Alaska.
Yeah, and this is a wonderful one too, and a very popular one as well. You get to sample all three of our daily departing summer trains. You got that Coastal Classic heading from Anchorage to Seward. You've got our Denali Star taking you into Denali National Park. You've got the Glacier Discovery Train, which is a beautiful glacier themed train full of just fun things to do. And then on this package, you actually stop at Spencer Glacier on that Glacier Discovery Train, and you get to embark on a iceberg float where you get so close to these massive floating icebergs. And it's just an experience in itself. And it's in an area that's unique only to those traveling on the Alaska Railroad. So no other guests or travelers to Alaska get to experience Spencer Glacier Whistle Stop unless you're on the train. So, and another part of that package that I love is that opportunity to go bear viewing. Bears are fascinating to watch, of course, from a safe distance, but just watching them interact with other bears, eating salmon, protecting their young. They're just fascinating. I could watch them all day. And I've done so many bear viewing trips up here, and they just keep getting better and better. So it's a wonderful opportunity if you're interested in wildlife.
Yeah,
Definitely.
that is so special when the wildlife Alaska is second to none. Well, yeah, I think Alaska and Africa. If you're into viewing wildlife, natural wildlife, you cannot beat those destinations. There's just some, and this is the American wildlife.
Yes.
It's really it's the last great American wilderness. Truly, it is. Uh, Here we have another one that I really liked for people who have, retirees. Heads up here, if you've got time, they've got some extended trips. It's Alaska by daylight. If you've got 10 days, tell us about that one, Tracy.
Yeah, it's riding all three of our daily trains again, going on a glacier day cruise adventure in Kenai Fjords National Park, a beautiful park in itself. And then this one also visits Fairbanks, which is our Golden Heart city right in the heart of our state. And the Riverboat Discovery is a wonderful tour. It's one of my favorites to experience in Fairbanks, where you're on this riverboat. It's the Klondike days of riverboating along these rivers. And it's just a fascinating tour. You stop at Alaska Native Village and just very educational experience. And then, of course, taking a bus ride into Denali National Park is definitely a number one must do if you're traveling up to Alaska. There's just so much to see and do, getting close to the mountain itself. And then you've got this bonus of wildlife opportunities. And one of the tips I would like to tell you and your guests listening is definitely bring binoculars, because not all
Mhm.
the wildlife are hanging out right along the bus. They're off on the mountains. They're hiding, behind some trees. So definitely bring some binoculars. And one thing I did want to say, if you don't mind, is that so we had a mudslide happen in Denali National Park last year, and unfortunately, we're not going to be able to go all the way back into the park into Kantishna, because they're working on rebuilding that part of the road system. So it's still a beautiful travel in. It's all narrated and guided, and I highly recommend it. If you're visiting Denali, definitely go on a guided tour into the park.
Absolutely, absolutely, and, uh, I wanted to I've got a little video r that
Ah,
I'd like to insert here if we could do that real fast just to kind of
yes.
pique people's interest. Hang on just a second, folks, here we go.
In a car, it's always a rush to get from one place to another. Here on Alaska Railroad, you don't do that. We let you enjoy what you're looking at.
At its essence, we're the blue and gold. We're the original.
They are blown away.
The sights you see, the people you meet, the hospitality that Alaska is known for, it's unmatched.
If you have never been to Alaska, this would be the time to come.
Whether they're traveling north or south, they're guaranteed to see beautiful scenery and wildlife.
It's just so many different activities that they got going on that it makes it quite interesting.
Our Gold Star car is the only car of its kind with the private viewing deck attached. There's a full-service dining car below you. I've talked to people who have got off, and it's just been one of the highlights of their life. So many times I hear people saying I need a vacation from my vacation because they're trying to figure their way around Alaska, and they've told me that's one of the great things about the railroad, is that everyone got to relax, sit back, and enjoy the scenery.
It's the way to see Alaska on an Alaska Railroad train.
I just love that video, Tracy.
So I do too. It gives me goosebumps every time I watch it. Just the scenery. I know the staff on board there, and the excitement of just traveling along the train through that incredible scenery is just a beautiful experience.
It really is, and speaking of beautiful experiences, now you guys also, are in charge of the, White Pass Rail. That's isn't that part of what you guys do too?
It is not. No,
Oh, it's not.
the White Pass is located in Skagway, which is it's on the Panhandle, the
Okay.
inside passage of Alaska. So it's another railroad system that, but it's a tour operated one,
Okay.
and it's only available in the summer. But I've been on it before, and it is a beautiful, beautiful trip to take. And if you're in Skagway and you find yourself in that port, I definitely recommend travelers purchase tickets to that one. It's unforgettable as well.
Yeah, I also loved that. So we did the railroad from uh up to from Anchorage to Denali, and then on up to Fairbanks. And then our tour happened to come down and come into Skagway on the White Rail Pass. So love the rail. There's something so civilized and relaxing and
Yeah,
there's an elegance, and it's just so special. Um,
I agree.
and what about the Alaska Railroad? Is this a good choice for people who might have special interests, particularly like photographers and birders or other wildlife enthusiasts? A good choice for them.
Absolutely. Just about everybody who travels up to Alaska has some portion of their experience on the train. And we have those themed packages, whether you're focused on just seeing wildlife or glacier activity, or you have an active lifestyle and you want to go rafting, you want to climb a glacier. We have opportunities for everyone. So we're very, very inclusive. And really, no matter what age you are, even mobility issues. There's something for everybody wonderful about the train, and we've got great ADA accessibility. Our Gold Star cars have elevator lifts that if you can't access the spiral staircase up to that upper seating level, then we've got those elevators. All of our rail cars are very wide open for anybody who is wheelchair or any issues whatsoever. We are here to help. Definitely let our reservation team know, and we can definitely call down the line and let all of our vendors know to make sure there is a motor coach for ADA access, or someone needs some extra assistance when they arrive at the Denali Depot. So we've got great vendors all along our rail belt, and making sure everyone has an enjoyable trip is our number one goal.
I love that. I love that. That is such a testimony to what a great provider you guys are. Question I have to ask this day and age, uh, with the COVID crisis still an issue that seems to just not want to ever go away. How are things stacking up for Alaska in travel? Are you open for business, or what's going on with that?
We are very open for business, and as I mentioned earlier, we're year-round transportation. So we're in our winter season right now with our Aurora winter train, getting booked up, sold up. It's incredible this winter season. But summer we are open. We are part of the federal transportation system, so we require masks in our depot and then also on board unless you're eating or drinking. We've also hired porters to service all of our rail cars for cleanliness and wiping down all those touch points. Hand sanitizer in every car. Tapping your foot on the doors that lead into the next rail car. So limited touching surfaces, but we are ready for visitors no matter the season. And we are actually booking up super fast for 2022, especially our Gold Star cars. So if you have uh, any interest in coming up to Alaska this summer, I definitely would start booking now.
Now is the time, folks.
Now
You
is the
know,
time.
you just reach out and give us a call, and we will help you get there. I'll work with Tracy and her cohorts, and we will make sure to get you guys the perfect package for your preferences and the time that you have available for Alaska. You will, I promise, your rail trip will be unforgettable. Tracy, thank you so much for joining us this evening. And we have our drawing as usual. I am giving away this evening. I always get this wrong, but
Ooh.
we have a lady's watch, a wine stopper, and a wine charm here. These are just really cute, and I don't know that we can do them justice here. You can't really see them all that well, but If you are watching live, listeners only, if you're watching us this evening, I just want you to type railroad in the comments section right now, and we will draw a name. Somebody is going to win this lovely ladies' watch and wine stopper. And folks, if you have visited Alaska before, but maybe you just did the cruise, why not plan your next trip to Alaska for 2022? This time, do it by rail. Thank you again,
I
Tracy.
will.
We so appreciate you guys, and we're so glad to have the Alaska Railroad as one of our trusted partners in the industry. Bye, everybody. Thanks for joining us.
Happy New Year.